talk. I want to talk about UFC because it's a big weekend coming up.
What's going on? Who's fighting?
It's a big card. I wouldn't say it's one of those colossal Super Bowl cards or anything, but it's some of my favorite people, and it's a couple of fights that have interesting implications, and a couple of fights that just seem to be made out to be wars. Alexander Volkanovski is fighting Brian Ortega. Last time I saw Ortega fight, he got beaten into a pulp. Who was it that beat him so good? Was it Max Holloway or somebody?
It was Max Holloway, yeah.
He looked like he'd been in a car accident after it was over. It was, I'm pretty sure that was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And the reason he's been gone is because of the beating that Max Holloway put on him.
Ortega is a very durable fighter, and he won a lot of fights with these third-round comebacks. So when you put a really durable fighter against a better fighter, it hurts.
Especially a volume fighter like Max.
True.
Just took one of the worst beatings I've ever seen in the cage. Like there's some beatings that happen in the span of 20 seconds. You know, the guy just each shot. Now he's on the ground. Ref doesn't quite stop it because he's still defending, but he's just eating like 18 shots to the head. This happened over the course of like 20 minutes. It was like 20 minutes. It was like a torture scene. It was a little hard to watch at times. It was like,
ever see that Russian video where there's a guy with a screwdriver and then the hammer and then
it was bad.
Yeah.
And then Valentina Shevchenko, my future wife, is fighting Lauren Murphy.
I don't know Lauren Murphy.
I don't either. I know what's going to happen to her, though. I know what's going to happen to her. I know Lauren Murphy isn't going to be quite so pretty tomorrow. Let me get a close-up picture of her face, if I can.
Oh, she's not that pretty right now.
Well, she wasn't pretty yesterday. She's not pretty today, and she's not going to be pretty tomorrow. Sorry, Lauren. No. I know you watch every week. And then, like, the one that I think like a lot of insiders are hyped for is, of course, Nick Diaz's comeback after 5 fucking years against a great opponent in Robbie Lawler, who is like, everybody loves Robbie, just a fucking warrior and a half. Like I could picture Robbie being in like a gladiatorial arena 1,000 years ago. Like he's that kind of fighter. So that's a really cool one. I think Robbie's gonna take it. I'm curious. I was gonna ask you what you thought about that one, Diaz or Lawler.
Lawler, in my mind for sure. Diaz hasn't won in, is it 10 years? This is who Valentina Shevchenko is fighting, by the way. She looks fucking manly. Like,
she's ripped.
She's not pretty, but she looks like she's put on this earth to beat up other girls.
She's got a face like, you know, when they unearthed someone from 5,000 years ago in Ukraine.
Yeah. Or one of those people they put on the mountain and like petrify.
Big knockers, dude.
Those are huge because you got to keep in mind they're in 2 sports bras right there.
Double sports bra typically, and I mean, look at her body fat right
that's
now.
That's Shevchenko?
No, Shevchenko's much prettier.
Oh. Shevchenko's pretty, and she looks girlier too. I mean, she's very athletic, but she still looks like an athletic woman.
Shevchenko is like one of my favorites of all time.
You could take those arms and put them on a dude, and they would look totally reasonable, even good.
And then I'm not as crazy about it, but I mean, I know the fighters who are fighting the rest of the way. Curtis Blades is fighting. Jessica Andrade is fighting.
Another like manly physique, Jessica Andrade.
Yeah, but a little girl too. And then like headlining the prelim card, Marlon Moraes is fighting down there. So like I always like watching him fight. Dan Hooker's also on that card.
Yes, he is. I feel like so Hooker's a good fighter. But I know the backstory on this, where I think he just got the offer like 3 days ago, had a real hard time getting his visa. He's like flying from, if I'm not right on this, I'm close, from like New Zealand to where? Vegas?
I think it is Zealand.
And then making weight the next morning. So he's like cutting weight on the flight to Vegas and then making weight and then fighting. This guy has so many obstacles in front of him that it seems like the betting against him, like I don't know what the odds are, but I'm just like, man, this is a good fighter who's going to have a bad day.
Yeah, the odds are stacked against him there for sure.
Yeah.
And it's one of those fight nights that are not fight nights, but nights of fights, because fight nights are their own actual thing. Where like the main card has 5 fights, the prelim card has 4 fights, and the early prelims have another 4. Sometimes the early prelims will literally be 1 or even 2 fights. And it's like, okay. They're like, all right, well, that was a good fight, and now we're gonna switch on over to. I'm like, wait.
Sometimes fights get canceled and they just get elevated, and the early prelims end up with 1 or 2 left. But yeah, it's a lot of good stuff. I think Nick Diaz hasn't fought in ages, and he hasn't won in longer than that. Like, I'm gonna look it up. It won't take long.
Yeah,
The last
I
time
had
Nick
like
Diaz
5 years in
won-
my head, but maybe I'm just dumb.
Ooh, could be more. Almost there.
Yeah, it's been forever, but man,
his
it's
last
just
win
bad.
was 2011. 10 years ago, he beat BJ Penn. Yeah.
BJ Penn's his last win.
Yeah.
What?
2 of us can take BJ.
I think that's true. I've seen guys at bars beat BJ Penn.
I've seen dudes at strip clubs whip BJ Penn's ass.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's literally true.
2 of us take BJ Penn right here, right now. Like he's look wherever BJ Penn is, he's drunk. Like, let's be honest. We're sitting here sober. We're hyped up and ready to go. I had a big meal before we started this all up. I'm energized. Let's go. I got caffeine.
He's
Is
not
he
sober right now.
is he
Haven't even hit my workout today. I could use a little light work.
Is he a big drinker?
That's right, BJ Penn. We're calling
is
you out
now.
right here, right now.
BJ Penn has fallen into an unhealthy lifestyle.
He's fallen
okay.
into a very unhealthy lifestyle, which is probably not helped by all the years of him getting his brain pounded in
Yeah,
by
that's sad.
professional fighters. He is one of the all-time greats.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a sad
Born
story.
into a very wealthy family, which is interesting. A lot of top-level fighters come from poverty, and it the story is it's usually part of their motivation, like they're fighting for their life out there almost. Losing this fight has huge ramifications. BJ Penn, it comes from, like, I don't want to exaggerate it, but it was wealthy enough that I don't think he needed a job.
Certainly didn't need a job where you get beaten up every night.
Yeah.
But he was legit. He was he is one of the all-time greats. If he didn't have GSP standing between him and that title, he would have been maybe the all-time great. I don't know. He really didn't struggle against anybody except GSP. Like the Greasegate whole thing. At the time, I was definitely on BJ Penn's side with Greasegate. That was upsetting for me as a fledgling fan. I remember watching that. It may have been on Spike TV when I saw that fight. It's been so long ago. But George St. Pierre, essentially for Taylor's benefit, was greased up to the point where BJ Penn, who was a grappler, couldn't hold on to the man.
Yeah, I remember hearing about. You guys told me about this.
He was like fucking Willie in The Simpsons, where he's like, grease me.
Yeah, that's very cheaty, but also pretty smart.
Yeah. I love
BJ
whenever
Penn's
Willie takes his
family
shirt off,
owns
how
a good
fucking ripped he
portion-
is.
Yeah. BJ Penn's family owns a good portion of the land in Hawaii. Jesus Christ.
A good portion.
Yeah, we own Hawaii.
Which island?
They own Boardwalk and Park
The
Place,
answer is
for Christ's
yes.
sakes. So anyway, yeah, he comes from generational wealth.
He's got
I don't know.
pineapple
There's
money.
something cool about that to me. That well, I guess both sides of this coin are cool, but for a guy to be that motivated when he didn't have to be is an interesting story.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those sports where you see a lot of like poor kids who are fighting for family and fortune, and it's not all that frequent that you see someone who is the other side of that coin. The fight the other night between is it Anthony Smith? Is that the bald light heavyweight guy
Yes.
who's not very attractive?
I like him.
Come
more
on,
than
man.
you
He
do.
looks like he's came right out of Lord of the Rings casting. Like he's so close to an orc, it's not even funny. He looks like something that the Persians would like unchain to fight the Spartans at the end of the battle. He's so fucking ugly and big. But the guy he was fighting was like that. He's like, I end my fights quick because my family needs this money. They need it now. And I was like, God damn, are they like hungry like while you're like recording this take right now? Are they over there like bellies growling like, come on, daddy, can't you fight right now? Like he seemed that stressed out about making some money for his family. It was rough. And then he lost. And our boy Gollum here was like talking. I guess there'd been some like shit talking before the fight. And he's just like, where's that ass whooping you were going to give me? Where's it at now, bitch? And the other guy was just like, that was just for the show.
I was hyping up a fight. I didn't know he'd make you mad.
He was like, they're like, security comes in, they're separating him. He's like, I'm not mad. I wanted to shake the man's hand. And then he's over there. Yeah, fuck you, you bitch. You talk shit to me. Where's that ass whooping you were going to give me? Because he did like whip the guy's ass.
Apparently. So I found the most handsome picture of him.
Oh, you sure did. Look at Mr. DQ with his glasses on.
I mean, he looks smart.
Look at Rogan. How like I'm not gonna say anything bad about Rogan. Rogan's a great guy.
Anthony Smith could obviously put his chin on top of Rogan's head. Is that where you're headed?
I think Rogan's about 6 feet tall.
Oh yeah, Anthony.
Well, then he has a lot of tall guests.
His guests are huge.
I don't know how tall he is.
I do.
Now,
so yeah,
like,
Anthony.
Really? Okay.
Anthony
I saw an analysis video where they compare his height with like CGI lines and stuff to like various known height athletes, and there's like conspiracy music playing in the background, it's like the X-Files theme song, and the lines come across, and
It
it's
sounds
just
like unbiased reporting.
well, it's like this girl's 5'6", this guy's 5'7", and and then Rogan on his show being like, yeah, I'm about 5'8", and the guy's like, maybe 5'7 3/4. He's like, yeah, that's probably closer. and then like, and the lines come across, and it's just like, I don't know about 5'7".
Oh, you think shorter than 5'7"?
I would guesstimate him to be 5'5" barefoot.
Really?
I think 5'8" is an average American height. Am I right on that?
I think for the world, I think so. I think an average American male is 5'10".
5'10"?
But we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Rogan
according to Google
is short, but he's fibbing. You think he's fibbing himself into another 3 inches, 2 inches?
Like who cares? And he's not fibbing about the hundreds of millions of dollars that he's getting paid.
That's true. He could afford like limb lengthening surgery.
Was his Spotify deal $120 million? I have it in my head.
I thought it was a cool hundo. Which either way,
maybe it is.
You're fine.
I wonder how much he get. Like I often like Minecraft sold for $2 billion, and I'm like, ooh, that's a lot. How much did Notch actually get? The answer is $1 billion, which is plenty.
Yeah. I mean, how much does Rogan get when he's touring with Dave Chappelle? Like, Jesus Christ.
I bet he doesn't care.
Not even a noticeable amount of money, like for him at this point.
Gotta be tens of thousands of dollars a night.